What's up, everybody? Welcome to World at War Comics. Super excited to have Mr. DJ Wiedrich on. DJ, good to be with you, my friend. Can't wait to talk about Glitch, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing really great, man. I cannot complain. Finally back home from vacation and happy to be on here with you. I appreciate having me on.
Absolutely, man. The cover that I've seen looks dope, man.
It's always good to hear. As an artist, the cover is the thing that sells. So as long as that's the one that catches the attention, you know what? Everything else is gravy.
Yeah. You've been busy for sure, man. Busy for sure.
Yeah, that's for dang sure. I mean, I was telling you before we went live here that I'm dealing a lot with the business stuff.
Yeah.
Part of publishing a comic, and that's not familiar territory for me because I'm artistic minded, and my wife usually takes care of a lot of business stuff because I am incapable most of the time. So figuring that all out has been a fun process.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're pretty talented, man. You're doing the writing, the inks, the pencils, the inks, that's pretty. And then you got Dan on colors, pretty awesome. Who's doing the lettering? You doing lettering too?
No, I found a letterer named Nikki Powers.
Okay.
She's done some smaller books because I did like my own versions of letters for it, and I wasn't satisfied with it. And so I was like, you know what? Find someone who knows what they're doing, want it to be the best that it can possibly be, and not just slap it together. Because this is a story that I've had in my mind for a long time, and I wanted to be the best that can be. That's why I went with Dan Kemp, because you can't get much better than Dan Kemp with the colors, right?
100%. Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. Well, if real quick, I'm gonna pull up just the Kickstarter. I put the link in the chat right here, so you could all head over there right now, and you could sign up for the Kickstarter. So get over there and let's see if we can't get you to 100 followers. But yeah, this thing looks pretty dope, man.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and 100 followers would be a dream, absolutely, because like I said, I've had this character in my mind and this story for a long, long time. In fact, I've had the character in the back of my mind for at least a decade and a half. And so
wow.
It's been a long journey getting this to where I had a story worthy of it. And then, of course, developing the skills over the years to, do the pencils and the inks and everything, and then develop the connections to the other people and their talents to help it be good. So, I really appreciate that. And again, I made sure to put Dan Kemp's name right there front and center because the dude is amazing. I love talking with him, and I've loved working with him.
Absolutely. I mean, I would do the exact same thing, man. So, I would do the exact same thing for sure, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, why don't you kind of give us a little bit of a synopsis of what people could expect with this title?
Yeah, for sure. Because, like I said before, I've had this story for a long time, and kind of to preface the character, basically, my little brother and I created the character years ago. Back when I was like 12 and he was 5. We used to really love reading through those Marvel encyclopedia books where the character breakdowns, their stories, their bios and stuff. And after a while, we kind of just decided, let's just make our own encyclopedia of characters. Let's make our own heroes, villains, anti-heroes, all that good stuff. And it was a lot of, campy, classic comic book style stuff where you have the villain of the week type of people and you have this hero organization and whatnot. But the main character that stood out for us forever was this character we called Glitch. And when we first made him, he was going to be this more like, he's an android, went rogue, wants to kill humankind. So he robs banks and military expos in order to get what he needs to take on humanity, right? Very classic, very, run-of-the-mill type of villain stuff. But I would draw him all the time in my, sketchbooks, notebooks, and I just didn't really have any kind of story to use him for. And then about 5 years ago, I was working in a manufacturing plant on an assembly line. And it was one of those jobs where you can just do muscle memory, your brain shuts off, kind of wonders, And one day the character came to my mind, and within one work shift, I appreciate your creative outlet. Thank you so much. But in one work shift, I had the entire layout for a 3-issue miniseries in my brain for what this character would be. And needless to say, the character and the vibe of the character is very different from that campy, classic type of villain. It definitely takes on a more philosophical, introspective look into what it means to be human, the impact of artificial intelligence, and also just the impact of choices on, the grand scope of things, right? And so definitely more, I just, honestly, the fact that I had this story is crazy because you said, talented with writing and stuff. I don't consider myself a writer. I am not a writer by trade. But this is just a story that I, had poured into my brain, and I knew I had to do something with it. And it's funny. They always make fun of like artistic or like actor people who say like, well, I didn't so much as write it as I did receive it, because it sounds pretentious, but that's exactly what I experienced. So I can't really make fun of them anymore because it's like, I experienced that now. So my bad.
I love it. I love it. Sorry, I'm having you hear about like an echo. Right?
Oh, you got an echo?
Do you hear anything?
No, not on my end.
Okay. Very good. I hear a little back, but it's okay.
But
so into kind of what the story is about, DJ.
Yeah. So obviously the story follows a android. In the book, he's called Ty. He's like a thank you unit because he's basically a live-in assistant android. Is TY3457, but the family that he lives with calls him Ty, just for short. And basically the whole idea is that, for instance, take the idea of if you were dropped onto an alien world, for instance, with its own morality, with its own laws, with its own customs, how would you adjust, right? Would you pick up on, their social cues? Would you pick up on their moral code? Or would you kind of misconstrue things and misunderstand them a little bit and kind of do your own thing? And that's kind of the idea behind this, where this tech company basically has this promotional idea to try to get more of the masses to buy their androids and their products. And this family, this low to middle income family, wins an android, a live-in android, to help them out. And he is brought to this family, but at one point, because of a simple decision from a worker at the factory, he does not get an artificial intelligence inhibitor chip that restricts his ability to develop his own individuality. And so that kind of goes to the theme of choices that I was talking about. And as the story goes on, and I don't want to spoil too much because obviously I want people to read the book and fund the Kickstarter, so you know where to go. But he basically develops his own idea of what his purpose is, who he is, who the people around him are to him, and that's kind of where his journey spurns on from there. It's almost like, if anyone out there's watched The Bicentennial Man with Robin Williams, fantastic movie. For those who haven't, you got to watch it. Imagine this is sort of a darker, more psychological twist on that idea, right? And that's kind of the basic elevator pitch I can give you. It's not just The Bicentennial Man, but evil, but there's elements of that that'll be familiar, I think.
I love it, man. Can you kind of walk through the development of the character from an artistic standpoint? Was your brother involved in that? Like, how did that all come about?
Yeah. So when we first did the character encyclopedia thing we were doing, we just had a bunch of notebook paper and we're just drawing these characters, wrote little bios on the side. In fact, I still have the drawings somewhere back when I was like 12, and they're terrible. So I'm not going to show them to you right now because I'm a little embarrassed, but I was 12. But when we first made him, he looked a lot more robotic, like camera lenses for eyes, no mouth, like a little speaker thing in his face, and very much like non-expressive. And I kind of went with that for a while because I thought that would kind of work as sort of giving him sort of cold expression. So it's hard to tell what he's thinking. But then, as I started learning more about drawing comics and storytelling, I realized that was going to be very, very boring for people. That might work in a movie setting, but just still images wasn't quite going to work. How's it going? And so as I worked more and more on this book, I decided, you know what, I need to make him a little bit more human, make the anatomy reflect a little bit more humanity so that you can connect with him a little bit more, and that you can kind of more tell what he's thinking. And it just makes it easier to read, I think, as a reader.
Yeah. Also, probably when you first started to develop it, maybe that's how robots going to look with AI and everything that's going on. It's so far advanced with what you're seeing in robots and stuff. It's incredible.
Yeah, and what's funny about that, you bring up AI, is that when I first, I guess, received and wrote down the script, AI, it was like 2021. AI was kind of in the conversation, but not really. And as I wrote the script and as years have gone on, it's become more and more of a hotly debated topic. And so it's like, well, this is kind of prevalent. It's kind of worked out timing wise. I mean, half of a lot of successful things comes down to timing. Does it come at the right time when the viewers are ready for it? And so I figured, all right, that just kind of works.
Absolutely. No, the timing couldn't be more perfect for a storyline just like this. And then Kev, get over, use that link right there in the chat. You could be the 16th follower. We're going to try and get DJ up to 100, man. That'd be awesome.
Hey, that'd be absolutely appreciated for sure. In fact, I want to try to find an image of like an initial design that I had for Glitch, because, you know, I had Dan Kemp do a little color treatment on it, and the colors on that initial design are still like there. But let's see here. In fact, I think I have it right here. In fact, I'm going to share this with my computer, and I will show you guys. That way you guys get a better idea of how it started versus where it's going, you know, because it's always helpful to have that nice image in there. So let's see. Okay, I'll pull this up now. Now I got to make sure that I don't exit out of the stream when I share the screen this time.
Very top stop share bin, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. All right, here we go. So this was an initial design of Ty in the story.
Let me pull it up.
Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, very robotic. It was very rough drawing. This is back like 5 years ago when I drew this. And Dan just kind of did his own little colors to it. And the light blue has stayed with the character as main design since then. But like you see here, like the face, it's very much non-organic, the head shape. In fact, initially I wanted to have like projection technology from his forehead, that little lens there, that would kind of present a human-like face. And that was going to be kind of part of the story. But again, as I was drawing it, it just got too complicated and a little too messy to work with. And there were some like effects that I was going to try to do that just were not coming through. And so going to a more human-like face just made a lot more sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I always keep the cover. The cover looks amazing. So
I really appreciate that. Yeah. Let's see. So I have the main cover, and I'll pull up a picture of the variant that I'm having done, because again, all the book is going to be done by Dan Kemp with the colors, but I have a variant cover that I'm getting colored by, in fact, as we speak, by a good friend of mine named Alonzo Espinoza. He goes by Pixel Tool on Instagram. So for those out there who like good colorists, you should follow him because he's a dang good colorist. But he's going to do a variant cover for us, because we're going to have several tiers this Kickstarter, right? You're going to have the main cover and cover B. You're going to have like black and white versions. I'm going to do like a sketch variant with just the logo on it for people who want custom stuff, because that's a lot of what I do anyway. Is, you know, for most of my employment is just doing sketch cover commissions for people.
Nice,
which is always a fun time. But I'm going to share this as well. I should have this prepared for you, so I do apologize. But artists, you know, we're not well known for organization, if anything. But I'll share this on my computer as well. And let's see.
That's cool, though.
But yeah, it's just kind of cool seeing like the evolution of, you know, the character from both looks, from personality. Because again, like when we first made him, my brother and I, he had no personality. He was just, I'm evil. I'm going to rob a bank to get the amount of money that I need to buy weapons. You know, it's very much something a little kid would come up with.
Right.
But now, again, it's something that really, you know, takes on its own life. So this is the variant that's going to be colored.
That's cool. Yeah. Is he looking at a design of himself?
Yeah, so he's got a blueprint of his own body, and a part of the story, again, I won't want to give away too much, but a part of it is that the family he goes to is very much low to middle class, and they can't really afford to maintain him because, I mean, you know, an artificial intelligent android of this design is very complex, very high technology, and so at some point in the story, he kind of just takes it upon himself to do proper maintenance on him.
Yeah,
and so that's kind of what this is supposed to, you know, represent. And what's cool is that I just snuck in the character design sheet into the blueprint, so you kind of get a nice behind the scenes with the variant cover, which is exciting.
That is so cool. That's a great idea too.
Yeah, make the covers a part of the story, I guess, which most artists tend to do anyway. But you know, absolutely,
yeah, that's awesome. So, is your brother still involved, or not really anymore? With this,
he is actually. So I wrote the first issue. He actually wrote a good portion of the second issue. which will come in the future. I have all the layouts for that ready to go, of course, once this one goes through. But yeah, he's been very, very involved. I've messed with him about different ideas with the story. He's been very involved with the editing process, because he's definitely the writer of the family. I'm the artist. I'm the guy who draws things, but he just has collections of poets and their volumes and just reads constantly. And so he has a way with words that I just do not. And so when you see a lot more like introspective and very almost poetic, word usage in the second issue, you'll know exactly who that comes from. Not from me, but from my brother. So very involved for sure.
No, that's awesome. No, so my understanding is this is going to be one of three, right? It's a 3-part series.
Yeah, 3-part miniseries. The first issue will be 34 pages, so a decent-sized issue. And the second and third will be around 24 and 25 issues apiece. So very much not necessarily a extensive story, but I leave it, just kind of skips the end of it, I guess. But I leave it to where there could be more story told, but it is very much a, straightforward narrative that has something to say.
So you were talking about how you attend different Comic Cons. Do you normally go to a con as a sketch artist, do sketches for people? Have you had titles before that you sold there, or will this be your first title that you're going to bring now?
Say that again. You're kind of breaking up.
Yeah. So when you go to cons, do you normally do sketch art only?
Oh yeah, I mean, I go to Comic Cons all the time and do a lot of custom stuff. And yeah. I mean, I went to 12 Comic Cons this past year. And so I'm traveling all over the place, and I'm based out of Kansas, and most of the Comic Cons I do are on the East Coast. So let's just say my Toyota CRV has a lot of miles on it at this point, and it's still kicking. So Toyota. I can't remember what kind of car I have. It's a Toyota, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm not a car person. Someone will hear that and be like, "That's not quite right." It's like, I know. I'm sorry.
You're good. You're good. We get you. We get it. That's cool, man. So when does this go live?
So I guess I can just announce it now. The Kickstarter is going to go live the weekend of February 7th and 8th. So here in just a couple of weeks, and that's actually the weekend of Big Lick Comic-Con, which is kind of my hometown Comic-Con. It's the first Comic-Con I ever did back in 2021. And, I know the owners really well, great people. And we're going to have, actually, I was telling you before we're doing this, that we're going to have preview ash can versions of the book, digest size previews of the book at the convention for people to kind of get an idea of where the book is, the first 20 pages of the book. And, we'll have a lot of other cool stuff there as well at the show. And I know not everybody can make it to Roanoke, Virginia, where the Comic-Con is, but that's where we're launching, just because, again, I have a lot of great clientele there, a lot of great people, and just kind of seemed perfect,
So will this be colored pages, or are it going to be black and white?
The ash cans will be black and white pages.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a couple of pages colored for preview on the Kickstarter that people will see what Dan's doing. But as I was telling you before we went live, a lot of the Kickstarter funding is going to go into making sure that Dan Kemp gets paid his due for his work, because, Dan deserves to get paid every cent, because he is the guy. He is, my opinion, one of the best colorists that ever existed in the field of comics. So, yeah, he absolutely deserves it. And I'm very grateful for him working with me on this, because it's been an absolute dream.
So how did you meet Dan?
I met him through a friend. Well, actually, I haven't met him in person yet, but we've been in contact through like messages for the past 2 years. There's a friend of mine that I met at a small convention in Denver. It was like a Spawn Con that we did. It was very small in a hotel. And I met him, and he, I'd post some stuff that he did with both Dan and Dave Kemp. And I messaged him one day and I was like, dude, how do you get that hookup? Because I want to work with them. I want to get stuff done by them. Because I've colored my own stuff before, but I'm not Dan Kemp. So I was like, how can I get that hookup? And he literally just said, just message him and ask. And so that was intimidating. I was like, oh, okay, I'm just going to, message Dan Kemp. Let's see how long he ignores me. And no, he messaged back really quick. And my wife can attest, I don't get starstruck very easy. I like to think I'm a very composed person. But as I was messaging back and forth with Dan Kemp, who, colored some of my favorite books of all time, with Spawn, of course, my wife can attest that I was just sitting there giddy, like, I'm messaging Dan Kemp. This is pretty awesome. He's responding back to me in real time. This is pretty sweet. So we did a couple of pieces together, and after a while, I was finalizing the script for Glitch, and I was like, I want to make this into a comic book. I want to get this out there. Let's just see if Dan would be willing. And as soon as I mentioned to him, he's like, hell yeah, let's do it. Get the script done, get the pencils and inks done, and do a Kickstarter. And he's like advised me on how to do certain things here and there, just because he's been in the business for a long time and he knows what works and what doesn't. And, he's become a really great mentor to me. A lot of great rant sessions from him that were very, very productive and helpful to me. And I could not be more grateful for it.
Yeah. I was supposed to be at that Spawn Con. My buddy Ty, who you probably know if you were there, the Spawn Hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I talked to Ty quite a bit. He's a good buddy of mine. And I was supposed to be there, but then, of course, work always gets in the way. But I missed it. I do have my Spawn Con hat and all that good stuff, but I wanted to be there, man. Thomas Healy was there. I mean, there's a lot of people there.
Yeah. I got to talk to Thomas Healy
and Tom.
Yeah. No, I got to talk to Thomas Healy a little bit, and then I got to talk to Jonathan Glapian briefly, and then Angel Medina for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, Chance Wolf. And I'm forgetting one other guy. I know I am. I didn't get to talk to Keybar, though, who was there, and I kicked myself that I didn't, because I didn't know he was there, and he was in a totally different row from me, even though it was a small room. I just didn't walk around too much because I was at my own table and I was trying to, run a business. But no, that was really cool. It was very small, like intimate setting with like a hotel, like lobby. Well, not lobby. It was like a small little conference room, but no, it was really, really cool. I should have worn my Spawn Con shirt. I was debating between that and this Haunt shirt, and I should have went the other way. But yeah, you can't go wrong with Haunt.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with McFarlane and Robert Kirkman.
No, and then Capullo as well, along with that. Goodness. Capullo's my dude. If I could draw like anybody in the world, it'd be Greg Capullo. Hands down.
Brett Booth is doing pretty good.
That's true. Nothing against Brett Booth. That guy is amazing. But Capullo is one of those guys where if I see a book that's either the cover by him or interior artwork and I've never even heard of it, I don't care. I'm buying it. Like, I'm getting it. So it's
he's a legend for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It would have been cool if he was in there. I know they tried, but
work
out.
Yeah, they try to get him, they try to get McFarlane. Yeah, just a lot of different things, but still really cool regardless. So
yeah, well, I've had McFarlane on and we talked about SpawnCon, and he spoke about it during the podcast about, obviously he gave a blessing for it and everything, but if this thing gets any bigger, he really needs to be involved, and he's a little nervous about taking on that responsibility with everything that he's got going on.
The dude's like one of the busiest people on the planet. Goodness gracious. So yeah, understandable that he's apprehensive about that, because doing a convention is not a small task or undertaking. There's a lot that goes into it. And you can just put a couple of big names on there and people will show up, but there's a lot of other intricate things that people expect from a convention. And so, yeah, again, Todd, your anxiety is warranted and understood.
I think if he did do a SpawnCon, like a legit one, where Capullo's there, he's there, obviously Healy and everybody else is there, that thing would be, I think it would be pretty big. I think you could throw on a SpawnCon just with all the amazing people that touched that title.
Yeah, instant moneymaker for sure. I don't think that's the concern by any right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. So how long have the pages been done? You've been working on this for a while?
Yeah, so a big part of the wait to get it done was just finalizing the script, because again, I'm not a trained writer. And so I want to make sure, and I went through several different people to help me with edits and stuff. And one guy that was really helpful was Matt Slay, who you might maybe have heard of him. He did a little bit of work on Ninja Turtles, and he's done a lot of independent stuff since then. But he's a good friend of mine, and he has given me a lot of great advice, a lot of great tips on just compositional storytelling. And then a bunch of people in my family who are more skilled and like writing than I am, getting their help, because I have an older brother who has published several different novels. And so I was like, hey, like, can I get your input on this as a writer? How does this sound? So yeah, that was a long period of time. And then of course, doing the pencils and inks on my own time, because of course I have to do like commissions because I have to make a living, right? That kind of made it a slower process. But if I would have been unimpeded and been, paid to do the pencils and inks for this, I would have had it all done in a matter of months, like easily, pencils and inks. But it was spaced out a little bit. And of course, going back and retouching things, making sure things look as good as they can, and redesigning some characters in some respects. But yeah, starting with the pencils, I think I have taken about 2-ish years, just because, again, had to take time. Second issue is already like leaps and bounds faster than what the first one was, just because I have a format of what I'm doing. I have the story going and the creative juices are flowing, right? So yeah, it's been a while getting it to where it is now. But for the people who fund the Kickstarter, don't worry, the second issue will not take nearly as long. I can promise you that much.
Can you share your website so that people can see, like, how do they get commissions from you if they want to do that as well?
Yeah, most people reach out to me through Instagram.
Okay.
So Instagram, let me just pull up my username that way, because I should know off the top of my head, but I do not.
Like
But
DJW Art, I think, or something.
Yeah, DJW32 Art is my Instagram page. That's one of the easiest places to get a hold of me. I've had a lot of people reach out and like get different commissions and stuff. I do have an ArtStation site. It's like basically like my portfolio site, which I need to kind of update. But yeah, Instagram is usually the best place. Facebook also is kind of good, I guess. TikTok, no one who gets commissions is on TikTok most of the time. It's a lot of the younger audience who don't quite have commission money. So
Absolutely, yeah, definitely is. But you could really build your brand that way, though.
Oh yeah, and I've been doing that for sure. A lot of the sketchbook or sketch cover variant sketch like time lapses I'll post on there, and people are like, "Oh, cool! It's like sweet. Thanks for watching. Bye now."
Exactly. So do you do a lot of videos of just you drawing?
I post quite a bit. I probably post a little too much, I'm being quite honest, but it hasn't been as bad over the holiday season just because traveling and everything. But yeah, most of my like social media is, time lapses of sketch covers or just posts of different commissions or things that I do at conventions. So that's, people follow my social media. They know that I'm going to be posting pretty much every day. So
Yeah. Now, are you open to doing covers for folks too that are doing their own titles?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've actually done I did a store exclusive for Ninja Turtles for IDW last year.
Nice.
And I've sought out those opportunities, and I've got a couple different things going. A couple years ago, I submitted like different samples to different publishers to try to get some work, but everyone and their dog is trying to be a cover artist, like everybody. And there's some really great talented artists out there. So I have a lot of competition. So, and I understand that. That's why kind of getting those gigs is a rare feat and is awesome when you do get it, because an artist you recognize, this doesn't happen every day unless you have a big name.
Yeah.
And even then, sometimes, you'll have great artists who don't do covers for a while. It's because, multitude of reasons.
For sure. I know there's a reader fan base in comics, and then there are those that, they have their businesses and they're looking for covers. Like Dynamite, some of their titles got like 25 covers. It's crazy, man.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's also like Youngblood, right?
Yeah.
Had like 29 covers.
That's awesome.
Like I saw Image post about that, and I commented saying, "Hey, you know what? Might as well go for a 30th. I'm available. Like, hire me right now. I'll do it." Because 29, that's an awkward number. I mean, come on.
Let's make that a 30.
Yeah, no question. I saw that and I was like, "You've got to be kidding me. That's awesome. Don't get me wrong, but it's like, goodness gracious, that's legitimately insane."
Legitimately insane. Yeah. I'm not a cover artist collector, but if I have, if Ryan Ockley does a cover on a title that I was already going to buy, I'll probably gear toward getting an Ockley cover, or like you said, Capullo is doing a cover, and there's 10 covers, I'll probably gravitate to his, but I'm not buying 10 of the same issues just for the covers. Yeah.
No. I'm very much like that too. I have my artists that I prefer, and so like Like, for instance, I didn't know about the new Capes comic series that's like connected to Invincible until I saw Ryan Otley's covers for it. I was like, okay, I'm getting those.
Yeah.
I'm very much more of a artist-minded comic reader first, writing second. Like, if there's an artist that does a book, I don't care if the writing's garbage. I'm going to get that book because I'm going to study that art like there's no tomorrow. That's why I know I'm in the minority when I say I'm a fan of All-Star Batman and Robin with Frank Miller and Jim Lee, because Jim Lee's art's freaking rocked in that book, even though the writing is atrocious. So for me, if I see a book that has great art, awesome. If it has a great story, that's just an added bonus. It's already bought either way.
Exactly. Now, Tyler Kirkman came out with his title, Final Boss, and the writing is garbage. It's a really exciting, like super action-packed. You feel like you're playing a video game and reading a comic book at the same time. But yeah, everything he does too, I'm pretty ecstatic about.
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, there's Tyler Kirkman's really great, and then Capullo I mentioned. Gosh, what are some of my other guys? I have to look at my shelf. I have my shelf behind here. I really should have behind me for like interviews because you can actually see what I'm looking at. But Michael Turner, rest in peace. I mean, that guy, I try to collect everything he ever did. In fact, he did the art for the first comic that I ever read, and so he kind of holds a special place in my heart.
What issue was that, Spawn?
Michael Turner. No, that issue was the Superman Batman Jeff Loeb run. It was issue number, I want to say number 8. It was when they introduced Supergirl in that run. First comic I ever read, and I have like 3 different versions of it down in my basement in my comic boxes. But then, of course, another guy that I always pick up when I find, Sean Murphy.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I mean, come on. Come on. That guy just is ridiculously good. Like, I was at a out in Delaware for a convention 2 months ago, and my friend who hires me to go out there, we went to a comic shop, and I'm subscribed to the Battle Beast book. I know I am, but for some reason I hadn't gotten the Sean Murphy variant for issue number 6, and I saw it at the comic shop, and I called my home comic shop. I was like, hey, do you have this Sean Murphy one in stock? And it's like, nah, it's all sold out. It's like, did I not get one in my box? Like, no, unfortunately it didn't. It's like, okay, well, I'm buying one here, so sorry.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, gotta do what you gotta do. Gotta add that collection. It's you gotta do it.
Well, as an artist, I have to believe that you picked up Skin Breakers.
Yes.
Art.
Oh. Yes. I tell you what, learning to draw like David Finch, I treat David Finch like he's a college professor, because he has all his great tutorials online. He has the different posts that he has, and just studying the way he renders the human body and just anatomy in general is just insane. And one of my favorite things about him is he has a whole lesson of lines of beauty, where it's like these jagged lines that just create this sort of energy that's like, it's one of those small little things where when you're getting to art, you don't really understand. But once you notice it, you can't help but notice it anymore. And it's like, oh, they're doing this. That makes it look really exciting. That makes it look a lot more rigid. And no, Skin Breakers, my gosh, or Skin Breaker, I should say. Gosh, there's the one, I call it the Saving Private Ryan page, where the character goes from like young to old, like the same type of panel, and it's all super intricately detailed. It's like, goodness gracious, man. He is just ridiculous. I have been in the same Comic-Con as him twice and have not been able to meet him. Because every time I'd get up from my table and go to try to see him, he's understandably taking a break. So it's like, dang it. But it is what it is.
I think he's kind of at the tippy top for me when it comes to artists. Just not only the character work, the body work, it's the backgrounds that he does.
Yeah.
So, like, some of the trees in that and the details, even to the leaves, is just insane.
I mean, no one draws tree bark like David Finch, right? No one. And that's a weird thing to draw really well, but he does.
It's so true. Because I remember I've been trying to get Kirkman on for a long time. So one day I'll come on. But I saw him and David on a podcast talking about it. And they said that David's been working in this title for 10 years.
Holy cow.
So you can tell it looks like 10 years when you look at that comic book.
Yeah, that's not a book that you put a deadline on. You just don't do that. Not to David Finch. Oh my
That is for
gosh.
sure. That is for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good artists out there. Uh, yeah, it's amazing, man. Incredible.
And honestly, at this point, collecting comics for me is just like just finding new study material. That's really what it is. Like, my wife can attest that I'll be like reading, like for instance, I have Spawn Compendium 1 on my bedside. I'm rereading through that, and every now and then she'll see me like pull up my phone and just like take a picture of a certain panel. It's like I'm gonna try to figure that out, practice with that, and see if I can duplicate that concept. It's like every other page. I don't know why I even put my foot down or put my phone down at this point, because might as well just have it right next to me. Take a picture, keep reading, take a picture. My album, or my photo album on my phone, is so chock full of just comic references. It's ridiculous. I need to really do some purging of photos, but it's good study material.
Yeah. So how often are you drawing? You draw every day?
Every day. I'm doing this full time, which I'm very blessed to be able to do that. Not very many people who are pursuing this have that opportunity, and I fully recognize that. But yeah, every day, I'll do an extensive like warm up / sketchbook session. Commissions a good amount of the time. If I don't have commissions, I'll just do a bunch of like sketch variants. Like I have just this huge long box, just a bunch of blank variants that I got from a comic shop that I'm still working through after about a year, because it was like 200 blanks for like $160.
Oh wow.
It was a ridiculous deal. So yeah, every single day, trying to improve, trying to find flaws that I have and try to correct those, whether it be in drawing anatomy or rendering or composition. That's a big thing that I've been working on. And in fact, for Christmas, I asked a bunch of my family for like Bern Hogarth like anatomy reference books. In fact, I think I have one right here that I just opened before the show.
Oh,
hands. Every artist's worst nightmare. So it's like, you know what? Might as well have this and work on it. So always working, always studying, because you got to always improve.
no, absolutely. You have to as an artist. Yeah, practice is really the only thing that's gonna put that right.
Yeah. And it's kind of got to the point where like my wife is starting calling me like a workaholic a little bit, because I have a really hard time taking days off, because there's that natural part of my brain where it's like, if you don't practice today, you're going to get worse. If you don't practice today, your anatomy is going to be flawed, or your rendering is going to be bad. It's like, I cannot have that happen. I got to keep going, got to keep working. So even if we're like traveling or on vacation, I'll take some time to take out my sketchbook, just do a little warm up, or just draw a side profile or something, just to make sure that I can still do it. It might be a bit of anxiety, but I'm just going to say that it's work ethic. That's what I'm going to tell myself.
There you go. I don't think there's too much wrong with that, as long as your wife is getting her time right, which I'm sure if she's like my wife, she'll make sure that happens.
And what's nice is that we're both very much like introverts. So like we don't need too much time.
Yeah.
So it just works out.
I love it. Well, I mean, the title looks awesome. Glit looks like February 7th and 8th. It'll be hitting Kickstarter live. If you happen to be in Virginia and you happen to be at the con that DJ is at, you'll be able to pick up, a 15 to 20 page, sample of what you're about to get in your hands. You can check that out and get it signed, get a sketch from DJ, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. All those things. You knocked it out of the park. Yeah. Big Lick Comic Con in Roanoke, Virginia, February 7th and 8th. It's gonna be really great. That we're working on getting me on a panel to talk about the book, which would be exciting because I've never done a panel before. So, knock on wood that I don't scare people away from the book, but should be a really fun time.
Yeah, incredible. Well, DJ, man, I got the link below. I got the link in the chat. When it does go live, maybe come back and we can go through the Kickstarter together and see if we can't get people to jump on that backward. But right now, those that are in the chat, head over to the Kickstarter and just give it a follow. See if we can't get DJ to 100 followers before the 7th of February. That way, all you're going to do is just get a little note saying, hey, it's live. It doesn't cost anything, and it's real easy to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really appreciate you shouting that out. And for those in the chat who have already done so, every little bit helps. As an independent creator, we're just slowly trying to find our way and our space in the industry. So yeah, absolutely. It really means a lot. And yeah, I love the idea of coming back on here when it goes live. I mean, obviously I'll be traveling back and putting more miles on my Toyota. But I would absolutely love to do that. And at that point, we'll have some pages that'll be colored by Dan that we can actually show to people, so they can kind of get even better idea as to what they should expect. Because, I mean, first off, if you hear the words Dan Kemp and you're kind of doubting the quality, shame on you. But just in case you need that reassurance,
Right.
we'll have that.
That's awesome, man. Well, let's do that. Maybe not the 7th and 8th, but maybe a week into the Kickstarter when you're back home and you're settled in. And I would love to have you back and talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm game.
Awesome, DJ. Well, DJ, thank you for hanging out with me today, man. Like I said, everything is right in the notes of the video. Go check it out, everybody. Go give him a follow on Kickstarter. And thank you all for hanging out with DJ and I. DJ, hang tight, man. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, good night, everybody.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.